Welcome to True Stories, where the line between survival and tragedy is razor thin. Each episode brings you real events retold with raw detail, exploring the strength, fear, and choices that define the human spirit. Tonight, we take you deep beneath the ice into one of the most unforgiving underwater caves in Europe, where a team of divers faced a nightmare they could never have prepared for. On a frozen morning in February of 2014, 5 highly skilled divers set out on what they believed would be the ultimate test of their endurance and experience. Their destination was the Shadowmere Cavern system in northern Norway, a place whispered about in the diving community for its brutal depths and unforgiving passageways. What began as a carefully planned expedition soon spiraled into one of the darkest underwater tragedies in modern history. Among them was Henrik Lasker, a 46-year-old diver who knew the dangers of cave diving better than most. Just a year earlier, he had lost his closest friend in an accident inside a flooded quarry back in Finland. That loss might have been enough to convince others to walk away forever, but Henrik wasn't like most people. Within months, he was preparing for yet another descent into a deadly labyrinth. Alongside Henrik were 4 others: 42-year-old Martin Olander, 40-year-old Jarro Haukinen, 34-year-old Elias Runsten, and the youngest, 33-year-old Victor Sarel. The plan seemed simple enough on paper. Enter through the frozen mouth of the Shadowmere River and emerge from another entrance on the far side. But the path connecting them plunged over 130 meters into water as black as ink, where ice-cold currents and razor-tight tunnels left no room for mistakes. Even if nothing went wrong, the dive was expected to last 5 grueling hours. On February 6th, they cut a hole through the ice and prepared to enter the depths. To avoid disturbing the silt and destroying visibility, the group split in 2. Martin and Jarro went first, using their underwater scooters to save energy, while the other 3 followed 2 hours later. At first, everything went according to plan. They reached a large chamber where they could briefly rest, and for a moment, it almost felt manageable. But deep inside the cavern, the tone shifted. The divers came upon a sharp, narrow passage barely wide enough to squeeze through with full gear. Martin moved forward first, while Jarro stayed close behind. Then disaster struck. Jarro's equipment snagged against the jagged rock. His tank caught, pulling him to a stop. His light flickered wildly, signaling distress. Martin tried desperately to free him, pushing the cylinder forward and clearing the obstruction.
But by the time he managed to reach him again, it was too late. Jarro had panicked, and in the chaos, his regulator slipped away. His lungs filled with icy water before Martin could save him. Martin was left floating face to face with the lifeless body of his friend. He wanted to cry out, but silence pressed in from all sides. Worse still, his dive computer now displayed a terrifying reality. He would need over 6 hours of decompression before resurfacing, far longer than he had prepared for. With no choice, he swam deeper into the cave, leaving Jarro's body behind. 2 hours later, the second team entered the same deadly corridor. Victor heard the shrill sound of an alarm and then froze at the sight of Jarro's body blocking the way. The passage was too narrow to go around. His only options were to face the horror directly or risk being. Henrik, the last in line, tried desperately to calm him but failed. Now only Henrik and Victor remained. Henrik urged Victor to turn back with him, but Victor pressed forward into the darkness, determined to reach the other side. Against all odds, he managed to force his way through. Henrik, believing Victor would never make it, returned the way he came. By nightfall, 3 broken survivors emerged at different exits of the cavern, each believing he was the only one left alive. Martin staggered out first, followed by Victor, while Henrik clawed his way through the ice hours later. When they finally reunited at their van in the early hours of the morning, they realized they had all lived through one of the most nightmarish ordeals imaginable. The Shadowmere Cavern would forever be remembered for what it took from them, 2 friends who never resurfaced. Moral of the story: extreme challenges often tempt us with glory, but no amount of skill or preparation can erase the risks of nature's harshest places. Courage is not just about going deeper, it is also about knowing when to turn back.